What's going on, everyone? My name is Bruno and this is my WPF draft analysis for your Chernobyl Dragalgy. So here we have with a new season. This time we are playing in the WPF Delta Division, which is the new division introduced in WPF, which is a Wi-Fi division. So most important, and before we start, thank you to Reese for allowing this big project to grow into Wi-Fi. I think WPF is mainly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, draft league community in terms of showdown. Having the opportunity to play in this league in a Wi-Fi division is just insane. So thanks a lot, Reese, for allowing me to compete and give the opportunity to Wi-Fi to rise in the WPF. We have a great stack of coaches this season, and if you guys did not watch the draft stream, we actually had a draft stream that, if I'm not wrong, happened today, moments ago, on OG Albino's channel. So link to his channel, as long as to the other coaches, will be in the description. This is going to be, of course, my draft analysis. Of course, for the thumbnail, you guys already saw what was my first pick. We have the 110 points, as you guys are seeing in the screen. We had 110 points to pick between 9 and 11 Pokemon, and pick number 9 out of 16, which pretty much mid-draft. And I decided to just pick the best thing that was available at the point. I had eyes on a Pokemon that I think could could still be available when it was my time to pick, and it was available. And of course, my first pick, it's my Tera captain. We had the opportunity to pick one Tera captain. We had a bit of Tera restrictions, like Iron Valiant, Palafin, Dragapult. Those things could not Tera. This thing can Tera, and I think it's probably the best, one of the best Tera captains allowed. I picked Tornadus-Therian as my first pick. Now, Tornadus lost a bit of, let's say, pivoting and defensive potential, with mainly the loss of knockoff. It was pretty easy in previous generations to pivot into Tornadus, go knockoff, knock an item, U-turn, gain regenerator. I think it can still function as a pivot because it can still U-turn, can still regen some health. But the main thing with the Tera possibility is that with Nasty Plot, I think becomes an insane wall breaker or an insane setup sweeper. And that's what I'm gonna try here. Playing Torn, like, still has the bulk who's taking some hits. He can just Nasty Plot and just go for games, and that's mainly what I'm gonna try to do here. I have access to the Tera cap that I feel comfortable with. I can pick any type, which is amazing. This still has really good coverage, even with the lost knockoff. I don't think it's that big. It lost defog as well, but I don't think it's that big. Do you think clicks Nasty Plot, 3 coverage moves, goes for a game? So that's the on paper, this is just how it is. I think it's really scary, and it can pretty much capitalize on a lot of Nasty Plot sets. I don't think Nasty Plot was a big threat on Tornadus last generation. I think this generation, particularly with the Tera capability, it's really scary, and I'm really excited to. Actually, it's a really fast Pokemon as well, and I'm really excited to try Tornadus here. To pair with Tornadus, initially I have Iron Threats as a possibility. That got sniped. It was expected, honestly. What was available at that point, I really got surprised that this particular one got available when it was my time to draft again, and I'm really excited. It's probably the Pokemon I'm most excited to use. I picked Ursaluna. Now, Ursaluna, first off, of course, gets rid of the electric weakness of Tornadus that mainly probably won't exist much during the games, because if I'm not, I mean, I can use Tera Flying a lot. Flying is a decent typing, but if I get rid of the flying type, they don't share a weakness. But Ursaluna here, I get the thing, a Flame Orb, I click Facade, the thing gets claims lives. That's pretty much how it works. Pretty slow, but he has the bulk to survive some hits, to take some hits, just go for big Facades. has pretty good coverage, has Trailblaze to boost speed, still slow as hell. Like, I'm mainly not gonna use Trailblaze because I really don't need to, unless I wanna just outspeed a more bulkier mon. But like, it doesn't make sense to run Trailblaze. Tiffing just clicks Facade. If it Ghost type comes in, I click Crunch. So I have the option of Headlong Rush and Earthquake as well. I think it's fantastic. It's really good. I hope it works well. It's a one button mon, and I like those type of mons. So yeah, having you turn on Tornadus works pretty well because I can pivot, bring the Ursaluna, gain the Flame Orb, go for Facade, claim lives. This is just what the thing does, and I'm pretty excited to use it because I think it's one of the best new Pokemon introduced. Not only in draft, but just generally. I think it's such a good Pokemon, and I'm really excited to use it. Third pick, I went for Glimmora here. Now, Glimmora gives me most likely Stealth Rocks, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Mortal Spin. Two great abilities in the one that set up Toxic Spikes, Toxic Debris. I don't know how to how you pronounce it, but I think that's you guys know. And Corrosion. So really good coverage, as the bulk to lift some hits, set up some Toxic Spikes, get rid of Hazards and Toxic my opponent's Pokemon, and mainly clicking Hazards, weakening my opponent's Pokemon with Hazards, bring Ursaluna, making sure that there's no way my opponent's Pokemon leaves the hit. So the way I'm seeing this is that you set up Hazards, you bring Ursaluna, there's no way your opponent's Pokemon are leaving. So the hazard factor here, I think it's really important with Ursaluna and Nasty Plot Tornadus. I think it's a pretty cool strategy. Hope it works. Yeah, Glimmora, a great Pokemon, can use it offensively as well with a weakness policy, click Rock Polish, 3 attacks, just 4 attacks randomly, because I think it has a lot of special attack and really good coverage. So I'm really excited. Every time I see Glimmora being used, people say wonderful things about it. This is my time to use Glimmora. I'm pretty excited to do it. Next up, I pick Lefty. Again, this gives me a Steel and Fairy type, which at this point there were not many, at least Fairy types, because Fairy types are not great this generation. Klefki gives me screen support, which is again amazing for Ursaluna. It's amazing for Torn to be able to Nasty Plot. Gives me spikes as well, so again more hazards, which is fantastic. Calm Mindset with Iron Defense and Store Power can pretty much work on this Pokemon as well, depending on the matchup. So it gives me potential, and honestly, I'm just at this point I was trying to build a team around Tornadus and Ursaluna. And I think these two give me the hazard potential and the screen potential for the first 2 Pokemon can shine and just do the most amount of damage possible. And yeah, with Glimmora, I think it formed a pretty nice, gives me nice support to the team at least, and I really like that. So at this point, I'm just gonna try to support the team around the weaknesses that they have at this point. Of course, you guys can see besides Tornadus, I have no ground resistance, so that's what I'm gonna go for next. And my speed tiers, I'd say, are not amazing. So I needed a fast Levitatormon, and I decided to grab Mismagius. Now it's a bit early for Mismagius, not gonna lie, but I was desperate for that Pokemon because again, Levitate and fast Pokemon, and Ghost types are strong this generation. They're continue strong even with the post home decks. They continue to be strong. They are not amazing normal types. And Mismagius has Nasty Plot and pretty good coverage, as Levitate, so it can work. Support with Will-O-Wisp, which is really important. I think it pairs really well here. If I didn't get Mismagius, I was just afraid of getting any other Pokemon. I really wanted Mismagius as my Ghost type, so I decided to go, even if it's early. I just don't care. It was a priority, and yeah, it's a Pokemon that I'm used to play with. I feel comfortable with. Not the best Ghost type allowed, but at least pretty much one of the best, if not the best, low tier ghost. And I'm excited. It's a nice Pokemon. I think pairs really well here. And that's pretty much it. There's not much to say about Mismagius. I think it pairs in this team so far, and overall with the guys you'll see with the when we rack up the team. I think it's a pretty cool Pokemon here. And yeah, that's pretty much it about the Mismagius. Next up, I decided to grab Rotom. Again, another Levitator. So I was not Mismagius and Torn for me are not enough. So I decided to grab another ground immunity in Rotom. And what I like about Rotom is the fact that I can pretty much freely Volt Switch, because there's not a single ground type that wants to come on this thing fearing a Leaf Storm. So I think that's the advantage that Rotom has over other Rotom forms. That even Rotom Wash, for example, you can Hydro Pump, but you can bring like your, let's say, Water Immunity, your Ground Water Immunity, that are a couple, and you are stuck. You can bring Rotom Heat, you can bring a Ground type even if you want to go for Overheat. Grounds are bulky enough to take a Overheat. Rotom, you can pretty much freely Volt Switch, because there's no way your opponents are gonna bring. They can bring their Ground type, but they are risking a Leaf Storm next turn, and it's a powerful Grass type move. So phenomenal Scarfer, probably the best Scarfer in terms of Rotom forms. I mean, Wash is fine as well, but I think Mo is better as a Scarfer. Yeah, Lost Defog, Lost Pain Split, it is what it is. Pivoting is what I want with Rotom. So I think it's a nice one, because again, you can pretty much freely Volt Switch. You don't have to fear ground types because of the grass coverage. So yeah, I think it pairs pretty well here, especially with being able to be immune to ground type moves again. I think it's pretty important. Next up, Slowbro as my water type, the best water type available at this point. I have my eyes on Dodozo, got sniped. Not a huge deal. It was gonna be between Dodozo and Slowbro. Slowbro, of course, losing the pivoting options, mainly teleport. But still really bulky mon. I don't care about losing. I mean, I care about losing teleport, of course. If they had teleport, it would be amazing. But let's be honest, if anything still has teleport, it wouldn't be available at this point in the draft. So yeah, it's really bulky, pairs pretty well here, especially with mons like Ursaluna being able to resist the fighting type moves. Fighting resistance pretty important, pretty much the only one. I had Tornadus and I guess Mismagius as an immunity, but still having another one as bulky as Slowbro, I think it's amazing. Yeah, amazingly a physical defense threat, but it can be speed def as well if we invest in that sense. I mean, pretty cool Pokemon, pretty bulky. That's what I like. In pairs with Rotom, with Glamora, with Lefty, I think gives me nice pulse to the team. Next up, excited to use this one, Tauros Paldea Blaze. So the fire type Tauros. Gives me a fire type, gives me a fighting type, a base 100 speed, can be more bulky, more offensive. Raging Bull that gets rid of screens, it's pretty cool. 2 strong offensive stabs in fighting and fire. Intimidate support, which is amazing, again to support Thorn, Ursaluna, plus the screens, plus the hazard potential of the team. I think it's pretty cool. You can actually make some funny sets with the catch you ability, but mainly it's gonna be Intimidator. It's pretty cool, and excited to use that. This is strong. The Aqua Tauros and the Blaze Tauros are 2 actually pretty strong Pokemon. So yeah, excited to use the Blaze one, and let's see what it brings to the team. I think it's it can bring actually some pretty cool sets with this Pokemon. I think it pairs pretty well with the team. Next up, a Dragon. This was initially Dragonite, so I had a couple points to grab a high tier and a low tier. The idea was to grab a dark type. I really needed one. My idea was to grab 2 mid tiers initially with Persian Alola and the other Pokemon. I think I had my eyes on Ditto, which I actually grabbed, but it was Persian and Ditto if I'm not wrong, either Persian or any other Pokemon, but Persian got sniped. And I had the idea of having Parting Shot plus, again, Ursaluna plus Tornadus, but I mean, it was sniped. So that point, I didn't have any other dark type that I wanted. I didn't have a dragon type as well. Dragonite was still available. I grabbed Dragonite. However, this thing was already picked by zero price, if I'm not wrong, but it dropped it in the grace period. So I decided, okay, let's get rid of Dragonite. Let's grab a dragon. So yeah, really happy with the dragon. I think a dragon, it's pretty cool this generation because there are not great fairies. I mean, you have Iron Valiant, which is not exactly the best switch into a dragon. Like on paper, it is, but the thing is, the thing gets flash cannon, so you don't want to switch Iron Valiant directly on a dragon. And another thing that I really like is that fairies are meh this generation, and like things like Gardevoir, things like Screamtail, things like Atrin have the Psychic type, so they are neutral to Dark Pulse. So to be honest, Specs Dark Pulse, Dark Pulse is pretty strong on a dragon, and again has access to U-turn, which is more momentum, which I really like. And yeah, it gives me the dark type that I needed for this team. Dark types are pretty important. Being immune to psychic, it's pretty important. And yeah, I think I can pretty much deal with fairies with mainly the Klefki, the Glimora. They can pretty much carry the fairy types. So I think a dragon pairs really well with this team. And the last one, again, I had Ditto. I had to drop Ditto because with a dragon I didn't have points to keep Ditto, so I had to drop Ditto, and I grabbed Zangoose as a low tier normal type. With it's kind of similar to Ursaluna, so better than one Facade are two Facade users. So yeah, there was nothing else that I really wanted. So having another normal type, yeah, having two normal types, so I can actually have some space to use. I have more space to use Mismagius because again there are not too many normal types around, and I just have to. So yeah, this is the team that I'm gonna use in the WPF. Really excited to start playing. Uploads are gonna be on Friday, so every Friday you are gonna have a WPF video starting next week with week 1. And yeah, again guys, really excited to start playing. Thank you again to Reese for allowing me to play in this. Again, if you guys did not watch the draft stream, links to OG Almina and OG Almina's channel. He streamed the draft thing, so you guys can check that out. And links to any to the other coaches in the description as well. Subscribe to them all. We're gonna have really nice content during this season. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys excited. Comment what you think about the team. And that's it for me guys. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. So peace guys.